water rolled up onto shore. Now take that picture that I painted, remove my car and my beach blanket, and multiply what you have left over by about 1,000, and you have what this landscape would have looked like midway through the Permian period as the beach blew into this land. Miles and miles of shoreline and windswept sand dunes as far as the eye can see. Now, windswept sand is a very different type of sediment than sediment that is deposited by water. The wind blows and knocks the sand grains against each other, and they kind of rub against each other and knock off all the hard edges so they're nice and smooth. And the wind continues to blow, and those smooth sand grains get smaller and smaller and smaller till they're all about the same size and very, very small. And the wind continues to blow those smooth, small sand grains around, and it begins to organize them so they fit really, really closely together. And year after year, as the wind blows that beach sand around, smoothing it and sizing it and shaping it and organizing it, that sand begins to change back to rock, creating the second rock layer that you see here at the island in the sky, the white rim sandstone. We have to say goodbye to our beautiful beach environment. The Triassic period began about 248 million years ago, so we'll take one of those longs away and we'll just call that a long time ago. The Triassic period began, and as that happened, a new mountain range was born. The Sonoma Highlands rose out of the landscape where Nevada is today and cut this land off from the ocean. But as those Sonoma Highlands rose, a shallow inland sea was trapped. And every once in a while, during the early Triassic period, water would infiltrate that inland sea and a flood would occur. The shoreline would race into this landscape, bringing with it mud. That mud would sink to the bottom of the floodplain and the waters would recede, and that mud would be left to bake in the hot Triassic sun. And then a couple years later, that same process would occur. That inland sea would be infiltrated with water, a flood would occur, and the shoreline would race into this landscape. The mud brought with that flood would sink to the bottom as the waters receded, and that mud would be left to bake in the hot Triassic sun. And year after year after year after year, a long time ago, the constant ebb and flow of that inland sea deposited layer upon layer upon layer of mud, and that mud eventually began to change back to rock, creating the third rock layer of the island in the sky. If you look straight across to where you can see a really sheer cliff face, and then under that cliff is a rubble slope, and then below that rubble slope, we see a thick shelf-like layer that looks almost black in today's light. That shelf-like layer we call the Moenkopi, and it is the layer that was created by the constant ebb and flow of that floodplain in the early Triassic period.